The following is a Hennessy Hendo production. It includes excerpts and material from my vast collection of books and general knowledge. My collection spans many centuries and millennia. I upload as I have time, but the sheer volume is just so immense. It would do the people of the world good to listen to some actual classics or educate themselves on all manner of topics from fictional books to philosophy. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel.
George Orwell's 1984 is a dystopian novel that presents a chilling vision of a totalitarian future. Published in 1949, the story is set in the year 1984 in Airstrip One, formerly known as Britain, which is part of a superstate called Oceania. Oceania is governed by the Party, a totalitarian regime led by the figurehead Big Brother, whose image is omnipresent, accompanied by the slogan, "Big Brother is watching you." Setting in society, the party enforces its rule through intense surveillance, propaganda, and a brutal secret police force called the Thought Police. Individualism and independent thought are crushed, and the party employs language control, historical revisionism, and psychological manipulation to maintain its grip on power. The society is stratified into three classes: the inner party, elite rulers; the outer party, middle-class bureaucrats; and the proles, disenfranchised working class, who live largely ignored. The party controls every aspect of life, including thought and memory, through mechanisms such as newspeak, a language designed to eliminate subversive thoughts, and double-think, the practice of accepting contradictory beliefs simultaneously. Key slogans like, "War is peace," "Freedom is slavery," and "Ignorance is strength," epitomize this psychological control. Plot summary. Introduction. The protagonist, Winston Smith, is a 39-year-old outer party member who works at the Ministry of Truth, where he falsifies historical records to align with the party's ever-changing narrative. Despite outwardly conforming, Winston secretly despises the party and yearns for rebellion. He begins to keep a diary, an act punishable by death, where he records his hatred for Big Brother and his forbidden thoughts. Julia and rebellion. Winston's life changes when he receives a note from Julia, a fellow party member, stating, "I love you." The two begin a covert romantic relationship, which becomes an act of rebellion against the party's suppression of personal connections and sexual relationships. They find temporary refuge in a rented room above an antique shop owned by a seemingly benign man named Mr. Charrington. O'Brien and betrayal. Winston and Julia's rebellion grows as they become drawn to O'Brien, a high-ranking party official whom Winston believes is part of a secret resistance group called the Brotherhood, led by the party's supposed arch-enemy, Emmanuel Goldstein. O'Brien recruits them, and Winston begins to hope for a future where the party is overthrown. However, their hope is short-lived. It turns out O'Brien is loyal to the party, and Mr. Charrington is a thought police agent. Winston and Julia are arrested, and their relationship is exposed. They are separated and taken to the Ministry of Love, where they undergo brutal psychological and physical torture. Torture and re-education. O'Brien personally oversees Winston's re-education. Through relentless torture, O'Brien forces Winston to accept the party's version of reality, such as believing 2 + 2 = 5 if the party decrees it. Winston struggles but ultimately succumbs to the party's brainwashing. The final stage of Winston's re-education involves Room 101, where individuals are confronted with their worst fears. For Winston, this is a cage of rats. In his terror, he betrays Julia, begging O'Brien to harm her instead. This act breaks Winston's spirit and loyalty to Julia, ensuring the party's control over his mind and emotions. Winston Smith works at the Ministry of Truth, known as Minitru in Newspeak. His job involves altering historical records to align with the party's ever-changing narrative and propaganda. Specifically, Winston is employed in the records department, where his responsibilities include rewriting historical records. Winston alters past newspaper articles, government documents, and other records to ensure they match the party's current version of events. If the party makes a prediction that turns out to be incorrect, Winston changes the record to make it appear as though the party was always right. Eliminating contradictions, he removes references to individuals who have been vaporized, executed and erased from history by the party. These people are turned into unpersons, as if they never existed. All traces of their existence, such as mentions in articles or photographs, are erased or altered. Creating propaganda, Winston occasionally fabricates entirely new events, people, or achievements to glorify the party and Big Brother. Destroying obsolete records, Winston disposes of original documents by throwing them into a memory hole, a chute that leads to a furnace, ensuring the original record is permanently destroyed. The purpose of his work, Winston's job is a critical part of the party's strategy to control the past, which in turn controls the present and future. The party's slogan, "Who controls the past controls the future, who controls the present controls the past," reflects this philosophy. By altering history, the party creates a reality in which it is infallible and omnipotent, eliminating any evidence that contradicts its authority. Winston's feelings about his job. While Winston is outwardly obedient, he is deeply troubled by the dishonesty and manipulation inherent in his work. His job plays a significant role in fueling his hatred for the party and his yearning for truth and freedom. However, he also takes a grim satisfaction in the skill required for his work, reflecting his inner conflict and complexity as a character. Newspeak is the fictional language in George Orwell's 1984, designed by the party as a tool of oppression and control. Its purpose is to limit freedom of thought and eliminate any possibility of rebellion by reducing the range of possible expressions. By simplifying and restructuring the English language, Newspeak eradicates words and concepts that could challenge the party's authority or even allow dissenting thoughts to form. Key features of Newspeak: vocabulary reduction. Newspeak systematically removes words from the language, especially those associated with freedom, rebellion, or individuality. For example, words like freedom and democracy are either eliminated or redefined in ways that support party ideology. Simplification of grammar. Grammar is streamlined to make language simpler and less nuanced. This ensures people cannot articulate or even think complex ideas. For example, adjectives and adverbs are constructed by adding prefixes like plus or double plus to root words, e.g., good plus good, double plus good. Destruction of synonyms and antonyms. Words with similar meanings are removed to reduce subtle differences in expression. Antonyms are replaced with negations. For instance, instead of bad, Newspeak uses ungood. Promotion of party ideology. Words are redefined or created to reinforce party propaganda. For example, thought crime, the act of thinking against the party. Crimey think, subversive thinking. Good think, politically orthodox thoughts. Unperson, someone erased from existence and history by the party. Emphasis on doublethink. Newspeak is designed to make concepts like doublethink, holding two contradictory beliefs simultaneously, easier to accept and practice. Purpose of Newspeak. The ultimate goal of Newspeak is to make thought crime, thinking against the party, impossible by eliminating words and concepts necessary for rebellious or independent thoughts. By narrowing the range of thought, the party ensures total control over its citizens' minds. In the words of one of the characters, Syme, who is working on the Newspeak dictionary, "Don't you see that the whole aim of Newspeak is to narrow the range of thought? In the end, we shall make thought crime literally impossible, because there will be no words in which to express it." Example of Newspeak. A typical sentence in Newspeak might be, "Big Brother is double plus good." This translates to, Big Brother is exceptionally good, but with no possibility of interpreting it in any negative way. The phrase not only conveys approval but makes dissent almost unthinkable. Implications of Newspeak. Newspeak serves as a warning about the power of language to shape thought and control populations. Orwell demonstrates that if language can be manipulated, so can reality, as people lose the ability to conceive of resistance or alternative viewpoints. Conclusion. After his release, Winston is a hollow shell of his former self. He spends his days drinking victory gin and performing menial tasks, having lost all resistance to the party. He encounters Julia, but their feelings for each other have been obliterated by the torture. In the end, Winston gazes at a poster of Big Brother and feels overwhelming love and loyalty toward him. The novel closes with the chilling line, "He loved Big Brother." Themes: totalitarianism and oppression. The novel critiques the dangers of unchecked political power and state surveillance. Manipulation of truth. Through control of information and history, the party shapes reality. Language and thought. Newspeak illustrates how language shapes perception and thought. Isolation and betrayal. The party destroys human connections to maintain control. Psychological control. The party's ability to dominate the human mind is its ultimate weapon. Legacy. 1984 is a profound warning about the fragility of freedom and the dangers of authoritarianism. Its concepts, such as Big Brother, double-think, and thought crime, have become part of the modern lexicon, symbolizing oppressive political and social systems.
Thank you for watching. Share the video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Check out other series including 10-minute synopses or complete audiobooks on Hennessy Hendo on YouTube. Literally check out my library. Become a literary master like Hendo. Share the wealth. Spread the good word.